Hi, and welcome back, Attorney Steve Vondran. Hope you guys are all having a great new year, off to a big start for your businesses. I want to talk to you today, speaking of business, about the corporate veil. Now, everybody knows when you start a corporation, why do you even start a corporation? To get that protection from being held personally liable. Maybe you got a lot of assets, you got a lot of money, boats, cars, all these riches. You don't want those to be at stake when you start a business, so you start a corporation. But in certain circumstances, the corporate veil, as we call it, can be pierced. For more information, let's head to the Attorney Steve Litigation Whiteboard. Okay, here we are. Let's back it up here. So we are talking about your corporation. Okay, here is everybody knows why. You start a corporation because you don't want to be held personally liable for assets, for claims by creditors, breaches of contract. If say you have a $10 million contract and your company breaches the contract, these owners, these officers, directors, they don't want to be held personally liable. They don't want their personal assets attached or attacked, okay? So that's why you incorporate. You file a corporation, it's a couple $100, it's not that expensive to start a corporation. LLC, which is a limited liability company. A lot of people like that. They're very popular these days. Partnerships, things like that. But you start your corporation because you want protection from personal liability. You want to protect your assets, okay? So you people taking the bar exam, this is a great tip for you, okay? When you see this on a bar exam, they're talking about officers or directors or owners of a company, and there's a breach of contract, or there's some sort of intellectual property violation, or some kind of debt, or a creditor. Somebody says you owe me money. Be thinking about this. This is big points on the bar exam, big points, and piercing the corporate veil will oftentimes come up, I believe. But there are grounds to pierce this veil. Now, this is my veil, okay? I put a little picture here, try to make it look elaborate and fun, but you have this veil here. It protects you. You have the corporation. It protects you from your plaintiffs, your creditors, people that want to get at you, okay? Now, they have to have grounds to pierce. This is a corporation. I always think of it as an arrow. You're trying to get an arrow that just pierces right on through and pierces right on through. Can you follow that arrow there? This is what you're looking to do. Pierce the corporate veil. Boom. You want to get through to these guys so you can get through to this. Follow the arrow. Follow the money. Okay, there it is. But in order to get through this veil, this liability protection shield, you're going to need some grounds. And I've written out some of the main ones here. There are others. Check your state laws. Okay, there's going to be different. This is just a general overview, not legal advice. This is something that just general information that you need to know, okay? Especially when you're a business owner. Now, again, I said it could be a corporation. You have your S Corps, you have your C Corps, you have small corporations, you have LLCs, your limited liabilities, your partnerships, all kinds of things. Check your state law and see how it applies in each. There will usually be case law that discusses how you pierce the veil. Okay, but let's go over some of the main ones here. You get the general idea. Grossly inadequate financing, grossly inadequate capitalization. Sometimes they'll say at the start of the formation, sometimes they'll say during the course of the operations. Are you adequately funded? Can you stand on your own? Can the corporation, which is deemed a separate entity, get this on your bar exam, a corporation is a separate entity, separate and distinct from its owners, separate and distinct. That's why I put separate here, okay? Separate and distinct from its owners. A corporation under the law is treated as a person, believe it or not. It's treated as a person. So it's a separate entity. Now, as a plaintiff, if you have one of these grounds, you can pierce the veil. You would sue the corporation, and you would sue the owners and the officers, directors, whoever's running the show here, basically, okay? But grossly inadequate financing, say you're starting a corporation and you say, well, we're going to be the biggest banking operation in town. So, okay, we're going to be ABC Mortgage Company. Great. Sounds fantastic. You start a corporation and you put $100 in the bank, okay? Does that sound like you're adequately financed for running a bank? Does that sound adequate financing to you? These are things you're going to look at as the plaintiff. Look, is this a sham corporation? They started it with $100. On year 2 or 3, it still had $100. Is this adequate financing? Do they have adequate insurance to cover liabilities? Those kinds of things. That is one ground to look at. And you'll have some Mickey Mouse company pretending they're some big company because they start a fancy website, all right? Here's another huge one: failure to follow corporate formalities. Failure to follow corporate formalities. Now, when you start a corporation, I'm going to just use a corporation. LLCs are a little bit different. They have operating agreements. But your corporation, you're going to have articles and bylaws, okay? You're going to have articles of incorporation. That's what you file with your state. You say, here's my articles, here's what we're going to do, here's our business. Very simple again, very simple, very inexpensive to form a corporation. And then you're going to have some bylaws usually. Sometimes they're custom, sometimes they're standard. You can customize your bylaws. You're going to want to follow these. You're going to want to follow what these say, and you want to observe your corporate formalities. And your state statutes are another formalities. Are you paying your taxes? Are you keeping up with the franchise tax board? Are you paying your taxes on your business? Are you holding your meetings? Are you holding shareholder meetings? Are you paying your dividends? Are the officers and directors doing what they say they're going to do? Are you working within the general scope of what you said you're going to be doing? Are you following the corporate formalities required by your state? And again, these are your state laws, your case law that interprets that. You want to make sure you're following. If not, the creditor, the plaintiff, can pierce the veil, come all the way through, okay? And then you lose your boat, you lose your house, you lose your property. Somebody levies on your bank account. When they levy, all your money's gone. How about that? Fraud, sham corporations. This stands to reason. You can't start a corporation to defraud someone or scam somebody. So when you have a fraudulent company, these are not the best cases to take, by the way. Usually fraudsters are what we call judgment proof. They have no money, or they're fraudsters, or they're in another country and they're tough to take down, especially with the internet nowadays. Fraud and sham, just a sham. Go right through it. There's no separate entity. This is not a real deal. Boom, cut right through that. Fairness and equity. Sometimes you won't have a grounds. You'll say, I don't really have a good grounds to pierce the corporate veil, but in general fairness, and this would be something up to the court's discretion, they should pierce the corporate veil. They should not leave me here with no claim, okay? This may be your elders who are abused, okay? So fairness, equity, that's always something to take a look at, prayer to the court, as we call it. And generally these things are, they kind of refer to these sometimes as alter ego, okay? So in other words, you're not maintaining the separateness required, the separate and distinctness required. You're co-mingling funds. This can also often happen in smaller companies like family-owned businesses. Maybe you got a grocery store. Let's say you own a grocery store and you have one bank account and you're co-mingling your personal, you're writing your mortgages, you're writing your credit card bills, you're all writing it out of the corporate account. You can't tell who's who and what's what. It looks like it's an alter ego. You're not financing, you're commingling your funds, and you're not maintaining that separateness. This is what I say, separate. A corporation is separate, treated as separate, okay? And then the last one I want to talk about, and this is one in my field of law, intellectual property piracy. Now, I get a lot of cases with software infringement, strike 3 video download cases, photo infringement, things like that. And where you have willful, let's change colors since I like this word so much, willful. Now this one you probably won't see on the bar exam because it deals with intellectual property, copyright, trademarks, patents, things like that. But where you have willful, say these guys and gals or whatever, willful, they're acting willfully, intentionally, knowingly, trying to pirate something, get something without a license. If it's willful and they have a financial interest in the piracy, down here, piracy, if they have a financial interest in the piracy, in the ability to control or stop it, say the day-to-day manager, the person that's on site, small business, what sometimes we call a close corporation, you have the ability to manage in a financial interest and you don't do anything. You turn a blind eye, as we call it. You turn a blind eye. Those things can lead to piercing the corporate veil, and we deal with this all the time. And again, as a defendant, as a business owner, you don't want the corporation pierced. As a plaintiff, you need to have your grounds to pierce. So that's what you need to know, really. That's the basics. Again, check your state laws. It's going to be different laws in every state, different case law. But that's a general look at piercing the corporate veil, Attorney Steve style. And I hope that's helped you out a little bit. If you need more information, you're involved in a contract case, intellectual property, copyright law, you know where to find me on the web at attorneysteve.com. That's attorneysteve.com, the first name in legal services. Have a great day. Have a great year. I know things are a little bit crazy. Stick together. Stay united. We're going to get through this. We're going to be just fine, okay? Attorney Steve out. Have a great day.